Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Dr. Rosen.
All right, pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice that this meeting was given in the annual meeting notice, which was emailed to the Record News Herald, the office of the county clerk, and posted on the PCCC website and bulletin boards on November 28th, 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Roll call, Stephanie.
Alumni Rep Buchanan. Trustee Octor.
Here.
Trustee Drakeford.
Here.
Trustee Glovin.
Present.
Trustee Diodene. Trustee Moody. Trustee Nutter. Trustee Poe.
Here.
Trustee Ramirez.
Present.
Trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis.
Present.
Chairman Marco.
President. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, hearing the first order of business, consideration of the minutes, the October 15th, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting. That are in your packets. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion on resolution number 1? Approval of the October 15th, 2024 minutes.
Move it.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Octor.
Here, yes.
Trustee Drakeford.
Abstain.
Trustee Glovin.
Same.
Trustee Diodene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe.
Abstain.
Trustee Ramirez.
Abstain.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Vice Chair Tanis. Yes. Chairman Marco.
Yes.
Okay, New Jersey law requires that the organization of the Board of Trustees be held in November. Once a year, I get the gaff.
Don't let it go to you.
I'm not. The floor is open for nominations for the chair of the board. Are there any nominations?
Dennis Marco, second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Move the nominations be closed?
No.
We don't need to do that, okay, so what do we need to do?
You just say there's hearing no other nomination. All those in favor of Dennis Marco as chair of the board, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any?
Aye.
Hearing none, congratulations, Dennis.
Give the gavel back,
Get the gavel.
and now you take over.
Let's see, floor is open for nominations for the vice chair of the board. Nominations are given and seconded and moved to a close by the trustee with the second. On voice vote, the vice chair is selected, one ballot is given, trustee will move that secretary to the board. Pass one ballot. Okay, nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Trustee Ramirez.
I second.
Which one are you seconding?
Oh, Ramirez, only her Ramirez. Oh, sorry. She just nominated. He has to accept my apologies.
Second trustee. Hanks.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll, and you'll indicate whether you're voting for Margaret Tanis or Joel Ramirez.
Do that?
Huh? You do.
Trustee Octor.
Joel Ramirez.
Trustee Drakeford.
Ramirez.
Trustee Glovin.
Tanis.
Trustee Diodene. Ramirez. Trustee Moody.
That is.
Trustee Poe.
Ramirez.
Trustee Ramirez.
Ramirez, you're muted.
Ramirez, yes.
Trustee Smith.
Janice.
Vice Chair Tanis. Yes. Chairman Marco.
Janice.
Five.
There you go. Well.
Let you handle this one.
Do it again.
Again. Okay, this was the first ballot, now the second ballot.
Trustee Ocker.
I'm sorry, why is there a second ballot?
Tied at 5-5.
Okay. Ramirez.
Trustee Drakeford.
Ramirez.
Trustee Glovin.
Janice.
Trustee Diodene.
Ramirez.
Trustee Moody.
Janice.
Trustee Poe.
Ramirez.
Trustee Ramirez.
Ramirez.
Trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis. Chairman Marco.
Tanis.
Are we able to table this question, or does it have to be decided upon this meeting?
It's reorganized. You're supposed to elect the chair and a vice chair at this meeting.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Could we designate them as co-vice chair?
nothing in the bylaws, there's nothing in the statute.
And, well, there's nothing that says you can't.
Well, statute only calls for a chair and a vice chair.
Right, you would have to amend the bylaws to do that, right?
Sorry?
Wouldn't you have to amend the bylaws to do that?
Have to amend the bylaws at the least, and I don't know if that would hold up to scrutiny yet in terms of the statute. And I don't know what the roles would be.
Mm.
That would have to be further discussion in terms of a bylaw change.
Well, I would move.
Can I make a suggestion that we have a first vice chair and a second vice chair? Is that possible to stay within the rules and move on from the question?
And somebody's gonna explain to me what the difference is between a first vice chair and a second vice chair in terms of their responsibilities.
Committees, no?
I would say that the first vice chair is the vice chair as stipulated by the bylaws, and the second vice chair is there if the first vice chair is absent or not in the meeting.
Well, I would move the table in the next meeting, yes, our council to look into whether or not that would be appropriate under the statute. I do agree with them that there is nothing that provides for this by law. But that doesn't mean that perhaps we can't do that. So I would,
But wouldn't the positions have to be in the bylaws? Like, are we just creating positions or? Are we not-
On the floor is to table to the December meeting the question of the vice chair and for council to opine as to whether or not there can be two vice chairs, either co-vice chair or first and second. Is that accurate?
yes, that is correct.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
I-
Second.
Second. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to table. Roll call.
But is there discussion?
On the motion to table. As far as I recall, but it was, but I handled the table motion.
There's a motion, though, you should be able to discuss that.
No, not all motions are discussable. Well, somebody motion.
They're right, it's right, it's not. But we can talk about it after.
If you want to vote the motion down, then you want to throw another motion out for discussion, you can do that.
Thank you.
Well, no, this motion to table, I believe that calls for a vote.
Yeah.
Does it need a second?
It was seconded.
Okay.
Motion to table.
Trustee Ocker.
Yes on tabling.
Trustee Drakeford.
No.
Trustee Glovin.
Yes.
Trustee Diodene.
No.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe.
Pass.
Trustee Ramirez,
No.
trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis.
Yes.
Chairman Marco,
Yes.
trustee Poe,
No.
Motion to table is adopted.
Now, I would look at that, we could have a discussion about it, that's fine. Even though it's tabled until the next meeting, if board members wanna speak about it, then the position, then I think that would be appropriate. Your moments.
Well, I did. I had a question about it. Because I know that I think Mike said they were gonna go back, I don't know, to legal. I don't know if I heard that correctly or not, but go back and then opine and get some information. But I guess my question was, if you had two chairs or co-chair, would there now be a separation or, of duties? Would that also go along with the bylaws? Like, what will we be doing? Because usually in bylaws, you have what the roles are, but then you have a separation of powers or duties. So I wanted to know, what was that going to look like, or what were we going to do with that? That's why I vote no, because I don't know. I needed more information to make an informed decision.
Right. Need to be a differentiation. Trustee Octor suggested that the first vice chair would serve in the absence of the chair, would assume the chair. And that in the absence of the chair and the first vice chair, the second vice chair would assume the responsibilities of the chair. Certainly one way to do it. If there was an agreement to have a first vice chair and a second vice chair. Yes, sir.
All the trustees voted.
All the trustees.
We have a full vote.
We had a full
Trustee
vote.
Nutter is absent.
Trustee Nutter is
Trustee Nutter is
absent.
absent.
Harvey's not
It's
here.
five, so it's five for the position of chair.
Harvey's not here.
But with everybody here, the motion to table was adopted 6-4.
Okay, so what if we have to vote when we have a full board?
Well,
Hopefully that's what they will.
we have a full board, you'll have an odd number, and presumably without an abstention, everybody voting either for one or the other,
Yeah,
you'd have a decision.
yeah.
Yes. Another benefit to the motion to table. Yeah. Hearing nothing else, I think you can move on.
Move on. Reputation.
Okay, tonight we have Maria Marte. Kabata. Maria's gonna, wherever you want.
Yeah.
Come to the head, no, come on.
Over there, okay.
Come right. Ignore the backs of the president. and the chair.
We're gonna turn toward her.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn to the set of information. Okay.
So I'll just set you up for a second and let folks know what's going on. So one of the things that's changing in higher education quickly is that, you've heard that there are many people in New Jersey, hundreds of thousands of people in New Jersey who have some college but have no degree or credential to show for it. And what colleges are trying to do all throughout the country, and we've been doing this for years, is how can we assess what people did in their lives, which we may be able to give credit for. We were talking earlier today about our legislature passed a law. And our legislature said that if you're a poll worker, you can get credit at a college for doing that. Well, the fact of the matter is, I don't know of any college that's actually able to do that. Because what you're going to hear tonight is how colleges are doing that. So keep that one in mind as you're listening to the presentation to see if that could work. We already have questions, look at it.
Well, college has been doing this for years. I got 60 credits in.
For working a poll?
Prior life experience.
Yes, yes.
That's what she's gonna.
Yes, that's what she's gonna talk about, yes. Oh, no, it's been, yes, that's,
Yeah.
yep,
It's not new,
But we're
this is
getting
something
better
that
at it. We have to get
this is
better at
something that we, institutions have been doing for many years. We-
that's what Thomas Edison State University, that's what that's what they're known for, that's what they were created for.
Before you start though, I wanted to ask you, if I misspent you, I was under the impression that there's a time limitation prior. Is that still the case? That if you go to college or you've had a life experience, it's only good for like 10 years?
That's what it is.
So it depends on what it is and it depends on the field, right? So if you're in technology, right, and you have a certificate from 1993, it might not, right? But we would obviously investigate it and look into it.
Technology is going to be-
But it just depends on.
So there's no hard fast rule.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Rose, for.
Good, we have Chris here.
So credit for prior learning is giving people credit for life experiences, right? But it does have to be very specific because we do have to consider the integrity of the degrees that we're giving out. We have to consider the integrity of the education that we are providing. So we can't just go out and just give you credit for being a poll worker unless there's more to it and we have a degree here that we can match that with. So the definition that we're using at the college for credit for prior learning, I'm just gonna read it off of here, is it refers to the process of earning college credit for knowledge and skills gained outside of the traditional academic environment, right? So we are looking to, we're gonna assess, and these are the types of environments where people would get these experiences, right? So one of the more structured ones is the military. So if you have some military training, some industry trainings or industry certifications, state or federal government training. So there are some trainings at the state and federal level that would qualify for credit. Volunteer and civic activities, however, it's not as simple as I volunteered for 2 hours and now I can get credit for a class. There has to be just more to it in order for us to justify giving somebody credit for what they've learned. And then work-based learning, right? So if you've been at a job for a while, that's something that we can assess, right? And so basically, right, in order for us to be able to assess any of those environments that you have learned from, we need to have evidence, right? And then also, we here at the institution need to have a program that it fits into. Because it doesn't help you as a student if we give you 3 credits for volunteering at the polls, right? Like, let's say we figure out a way to justify that, evidence to support that. If you don't have a degree that matches that, because you're walking away with the credits, but it's not matching to any degree. So that's something that we really have to consider and pay attention to, right? So there's the prior learning experience, we have to have evidence, and then it also has to fit into one of our programs. Or it has to be a requirement which this rarely happens, where you need that extra 3 credits and we're able to assess what you've done so that we can get you to graduate. So these are the methods, right? So with the military, if you have some military training, we use the joint military transcript and we evaluate the military transcript and we look at where some of those trainings and courses that you took while you were in the military, how those can translate, and then some of the experiences there as well. So the military transcript is one way to do it. Portfolio reviews, right? So students are able to put together a portfolio with evidence supporting what they have learned, how they have learned it. And then those experiences or that evidence has to match the course outcomes of whichever course you're getting credit for. And I'm gonna give you some examples of some of what we've done here. So far, the other one is industry certifications. So if you have a CDA, there are some education classes that translates nicely into. Because all of the requirements to get the CDA are also some of the requirements.
And what is the CDA?
The certification, oh my
Child
goodness,
development.
child development, yes, thank you so much. So that's something that fits, it would fit nicely because we have that degree here. And then students also, competencies in the CDA also are competencies that we use here in some of the classes. And then someone mentioned the CLEP exam. So we've been doing that for years. That's one of the ones we've been doing for years, where we've been accepting people to a Spanish speaker who also knows how to read, write, and comprehend the language in a way where you test. You can, through the College Board, you take the test and then those credits get transferred here, there. And then the same thing with advanced placement, which is a similar type of testing you'll be able to take to get those credits transferred here. So these are the ways that we would assess or that we do assess prior learning. And then why do we do it, right? So some of the benefits Dr. Rose mentioned before, right? So we are doing this type of stuff because it reduces the number of courses that a student has to take. And in doing that, we accelerate their completion rate here at the college, which is something that's really important to us and it's in our strategic initiatives and all that good stuff. Then it also costs, right? So it's important to us that we are offering students a quality education at a cost that's affordable to them. So being able to do this reduces the number of credits, number of courses that they have to take, and then it really helps students pay for their education, right? And then also we here as an institution and then as a state and federally too, there's a lot of research out there and we've been focusing on making sure that we validate world experiences. People learn things when they go to work. Although we are an institution that provides formal education, you can still learn outside of here and we're able to translate that into here. So some of the examples would be of some of the things that we've done in the last 2 semesters is that there's a student who completed the police academy. That student, everything they learned in the police academy matches perfectly, I would say, with the content that they would learn in CJ 101, which is the introduction to the criminal justice course. So we wouldn't want that student to have to take that course when they've already gone through the police academy. So that's a student that gets evaluated up front. The faculty in that department has approved for us to do this, and then that student would automatically not have to take the intro to criminal justice course because it would be repetitive for them. And the same thing with a student who, so I'm currently working with a student who has been working at a daycare. They don't have an associate's degree, but they've been working at a daycare for many years. So they have experience working at a daycare. They have experience delivering lesson plans, creating lesson plans. So ECE 210 is one of the fieldwork courses in education. That student is already doing that. So we are working with the student to put a portfolio together so that we can have evidence that that student already knows that content and they don't have to take that class. And the reason why we have to gather evidence is because we have to justify why we're doing this and how we've evaluated what the student has done and what they know, right? The same way that we would do in the classroom. And then, so those are some of those are just 2 examples of the areas that I've been focusing on lately. And nationally, one of the things that is important for private learning, if you're offering it at the college, is that we ensure the accuracy and that we're being transparent. So we are working with faculty to audit our courses and to figure out which of our courses could students take a test for, which of our courses could our students do a course, because there are some courses, right? You can't, if you're taking a biology course, unless you're a medical doctor, there's a chance that you can't do the lab, right? So there are some courses that it's a little bit more complicated. So we can't just say, I have experience because I understand the human body. Well, if that's true, then your option would be to take a test. However, there's a lab component to a class. So it's looking into all of that to just make sure that we are respecting the integrity of the education that we're offering here, while also facilitating for students to get credits for what they know. And then also having one-on-one meetings with students who are interested in prior learning, because there's some confusion, right? Where a student might think, I had a student last week who said to me, I'm in a religious organization and I go door to door and I speak with people every day. I don't want to take public speaking because I don't know how to do that. However, it's taking that and where's the evidence that meet the course outcomes in public speaking, right? Because there's very specific course outcomes that you have to demonstrate that you know in public speaking before you can get the credit, right? So it's explaining some of that is some of what we're doing. And then also using the technology that we already have to make it easier for students. We don't want to have a program that we're using or that we have available to students and then they can't access it or it's not easy for them to do. So we're using Blackboard because they already use Blackboard to take their courses. And I've been working with the president's office to use some of the assessments that we use for other areas of the college to make it easy for us to assess the student, to some rubrics in there. So those are just some of the different things that we have. And then we've also been working with the state. So some of the sub-college no degree, collaborating with them, providing them with information, and they have been giving us best practices. Or some working with the Office of Higher Education to make sure that we're also in line, because statewide, they're looking to systematize prior learning, right? So that it's not just everyone is doing it in different ways, and so that there's some standards for how we do it. So that's some of what we've been doing with credit for prior learning. If you have questions, I can answer any questions. But the goal is to get students who have experiences who match the courses that we offer here at the college to have credit for that. Yes.
I got one other question.
Yeah.
How is that, when you grant prior credit to somebody, how is that codified? Like, for example, I apply to this college and I make a case that I have prior learning. You decide, okay, we're gonna give you three credits for that. All right? And if I go, I graduate from here and I want to go on, we have these agreements for the schools. How is that codified? Is it in a transcript? Do you give me a
It's transcript,
certificate? I mean,
yes.
how is that?
Yes.
What is the process for granting that? And is it recognized at a four-year school?
So it's transcripted and then it's at the discretion of the school who's receiving, like any other.
Right, but in New Jersey, the way the agreement that we have, which is called the Lampett Law, which is named after Assemblywoman Pan Lamp, that if you graduate from a community college, the four-year colleges are required to take 60 credits toward the baccalaureate degree. So they will take our entire transcript without evaluation.
So if I'm granted three credits for prior learning, what is that, how does that appear on a transcript by the law?
So currently, so that's something that we're working on internally. Currently, there's an E grade that goes into your transcript, and we're looking for ways to make it clearer that it's prior learning rather than it just being an E grade. So you get a grade.
Is that like a C, or I mean, do I get a grade for that? I mean,
It's not a grade
I'm
that.
trying to figure out how to.
It's not a grade that
It's
goes
not
into your grade
a
point
grade
average.
Yeah, and it doesn't impact your grade point average.
So is it an equivalency? Is that what they
It would be
use?
an equivalency, similar, yes.
And so,
Okay.
in the criminal justice example, if I had gone through the police academy on my transcript, I would get, that course would be listed
The course,
within
yes,
the.
with an E, yes.
That's the way prior learning is
Yes,
credited.
it'll
Matches
say
up to a course.
intro to criminal justice, and you'll get an E grade,
Yep.
which shows equivalence.
So I worked for a law firm for 23 years. I did everything but go to court. Like I prepared affidavits.
Yep,
I prepared summary judgment, certification, answered interrogatories, did notice to produce. I mean, a slew of things. I would have to prepare some kind of portfolio.
Exactly.
Yes, yep. And then you would have some evidence and So the one in education that we're working with, that person is reporting themselves, doing a lesson plan, right? They have to put a lesson plan together. They're reporting themselves doing a lesson plan. They're getting a letter of recommendation from their supervisor. So you have to have evidence.
Is
But
there a
they're
limit
doing it,
though
so-
to how many, like, Mr. Moody said that he got 60 credits, is there a limit? That's a whole associate's here, right? Like, what's the limit for, the county college?
30 credits is,
Here, there's a limit of 30.
yeah,
I don't think Thomas Edison has a
no,
limit.
they don't have.
You could do all 120 at Thomas Edison. They're probably the only one in New Jersey that would take all 120 credits. If you could, I'm not sure anybody ever has, but you can.
A lot of learning.
So I was trained as a cook in the army.
So
So
we have a.
Culinary arts.
You have a culinary-
I
department.
wanna go up to the culinary.
Yeah, we have a culinary arts department, actually, the culinary arts, major, if you did the serve certificate, was.
Serve safe.
Serve safe, training, that matches with the, intro class, so they don't take the intro class, they can just get the credit. So we just need evidence, as long as we have evidence, then we can work, and we're working with
Yeah.
faculty to do
Probably
that.
be on my discharge.
Susan?
Yeah, I just wanted to point something out because Maria and I talked about this last year, shortly after I arrived at the college, because Thomas Edison, as the president pointed out, they actually perform this service for many colleges in New Jersey. They will accept somebody's e-portfolio, review it, they have subject matter experts.
At a very large
They
fee.
award
Very
credits.
large fee.
Yeah, that was my point. But they charge, they got smart, instead of just charging per credit, what they did is they make a student sign up for a 3-credit course.
To do the
Which is to
portfolio.
create the portfolio. So they're paying 3 credits worth of Thomas Edison credit rate. To get that, and that's more expensive than it would be to take a 3-credit course here. So we decided, so Maria took the charge on this and she started moving forward to create a parallel process for our students to get this credit transcript without having to pay those much, much more expensive prices. And that's important.
But especially in the IT field today, there's a tremendous amount out there. Microsoft, Cisco, all have training programs that are very rigorous.
Yeah.
And those things have already been, there's something called the American Council of Education, which already has evaluated, if you get this certificate from Cisco, it is worth this. They've already done a lot of that work. So this is a growing field.
So is that an equivalency thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they will say that we actually had a faculty member here and we had a requirement to get promoted at the college that you had to have a master's degree plus 30 credits. Well, this person's in computer science and he had a master's, but he did not have the extra 30 credits. Instead, he went for dozens of these certificates. Some call them badges, some call them different things. And we actually went to the American Council of Education and, looked up everything that he had, and he had something like 50, 60 credits worth of, and we gave him credit for it.
They'll do that for you on an individual student?
Yeah.
They also facilitate the equivalency for the military transcripts as well.
Yeah, they've already figured out if you're serving in the military and you've gone through this training, here's the equivalent at a college and university. They've already done a lot of that work.
I just have a question regarding, how you get the little notebooks in the mail sometimes, is that being advertised?
So
Our courses, just
We're working, because we're working on the infrastructure and we're working with the students who show interest or that we see. So like I'll run a list and then I'll see students who are, I'll pick them out and then we'll contact them. So once we have the infrastructure in place where we know that it's gonna be a smooth process.
Maria's the first
we're
person
gonna-
at the college who had this as a job.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a while, but haphazardly. And a few years ago, we said, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
I think it's a year and a half. But we promoted Maria and gave her this as one of her primary functions that she does here at the college. So she's been developing all the policies and learning it and getting good at it.
But that's the goal, that's the goal is to promote it and advertise it and use it as a recruitment tool also for.
I can
people.
totally see it.
Mhm.
We've been doing this with our Reconnect students because we're trying to get students to come back to college, some college, no degree. And Maria has helped a few of our students get through Spanish club tests.
Yeah.
Because they are native speakers of Spanish and they don't have to take a Spanish 101 class. And now she's working with an e-portfolio on that student for CDA.
Very interesting, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you for having me.
Great job.
Who made cooker? Hey, Dr. Moses. It's you.
Yes, it is. All right, so we've got also on the agenda tonight, going back to the agenda. You have my significant activities and I'm glad to talk about that. One thing I will mention, last night we had a New Jersey Council of County Colleges meeting, which is, you all know, New Jersey Council, and that's they meet 4 times a year, and clearly one of the things we talked about at the meeting is there was a lot of talk about the election, which occurred 2 weeks ago today. And you know, I probably have been on more Zoom calls and everything to, you know, we're obviously talking about what is the ramifications of this election on colleges and universities, and specifically community colleges, and what can we expect the next couple of years. And you know, the short answer is we don't know at this point, but I will tell you a couple of things that we are very concerned about. Obviously, the concept of mass deportation is something which is very concerning to us. You know, we happen to be a college that does have a significant population of students who are undocumented, who are DACA students. Back in 2017, when there was a large national debate about immigration, there wasn't even this threat of mass deportation at that point. We lost about 1,000 students from our local community who just were scared and decided, you know, not to be here any longer. One of the calls I was on yesterday was with the New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. New Jersey is one of the few states that has specific scholarship programs for Dreamers. We at New Jersey funds Dreamers, and they can apply to, you know, they're not eligible for Pell Grants on the federal level, but they are eligible for a scholarship in New Jersey. They're very concerned that HESA, the Higher Ed Student Assistance Authority, that students are not going to want to apply for these scholarships and identify themselves at this point. I'd say right now, especially at a college like ours, that is what we are most concerned about right now. You know, obviously the talk of eliminating the US Department of Education, none of us know what that means. None of us know, you know, if that's even possible, or if it is done, what it could mean. But, you know, obviously we're concerned, and we're keeping a very close eye on it, and we will see what happens. But I think it's important that we all just, and we'll certainly, as we learn things, we will certainly let you know. Several of you are coming to Washington with us in February. That should be a very interesting trip this year, talking about federal policy and listening to our national organization give us some clear idea about what we're expecting. More unknowns right now than knowns, but a lot of threats. So we shall see. So also as part of the reorganization meeting tonight, we have the adoption of the annual meeting calendar. The dates are in here. We tried to work around certain things. You will see that there is no meeting in February. That had been something we've done for a while because so many trustees come to Washington and just a lot going on in February. So we do not have a meeting scheduled in February. If we need one, for some specific reason, we'll do that by Zoom and just let everybody know. Also in the summer, as some of you may remember, we had a challenge last summer getting a quorum at our meeting. So we have scheduled one meeting at the end of July. So you can note that meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to find 6 of you to be at that meeting at the end of July. So even if you're on a beach, absolutely.
Trustee DMA is gonna be,
Galveston, Texas.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. Sounds warm.
God will, Junior Olympics.
All right. Purchase of goods and services, anything that is in there, we'll be happy to discuss, but fairly routine this evening. Now we need to go to executive session.
Executive session, yes, we're gonna be going into executive session, so we have a motion on resolution number 2 to meet in executive session.
Second.
Trustee Oxford,
Yes.
trustee Drakeford,
Yes.
trustee Golden,
Yes.
trustee Diogene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe,
Yes.
trustee Ramirez,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis,
Yes.
Chairman Martin.
Yes. Okay.
Trustee Opter.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what came preceded this.
Polling attendance as we come back into open session.
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
Trustee Drakeford.
Yes.
Trustee, Gl-
Yes.
Trustee Diogene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yeah.
Trustee Poe.
Yes.
Trustee Ramirez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Vice Chair Tanis.
Yes.
Chairman Marco.
Yes. Okay. Great, action items, resolution number 3. Resolution consists of adoption of the annual meeting calendar, purchase of goods and services, personnel items, and the president's contract.
And need to have a separate vote on the adjunct contracts,
Okay,
because, requested trustee Ramirez.
right.
So then resolution number 3 will be everything that you just enumerated, except that part of the personnel package that has the adjunct hires.
Motion to, make a motion to modify the president's contract. I don't have it in front of me, but the
No, we're not on that.
it was on that list.
Is that on that list?
Yeah.
I'm
No, it's
sorry.
on that list.
I'm sorry, yes, you are. You do need to do that. I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, let me do that again. I make a motion to amend the president's contract from, for, notice to, terminate without cause by the president from 60 to 90 days.
Second on that.
Second on,
Second.
All on the motion to amend.
on the motion to amend,
Trustee Opter.
Yes.
Trustee Drakeford.
Yes.
Trustee Glovin.
Yes.
Trustee Diogene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe.
Yes.
Trustee Ramirez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Vice Chair Tanis.
Yes.
Chairman Marco.
yes. We're running out of
Now,
space.
so now the main motion on resolution number 3 with the adjunct hires not
Not
included
included.
is now in order.
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call,
Trustee Opter.
Todd?
Assad,
Sorry, I didn't hear. I'm a yes.
Trustee Drakeford.
Isha, you muted. Back to
Okay, Trustee Glovin.
Yes.
Trustee Diogene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe.
Yes.
Trustee Ramirez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis.
Yes.
Chairman Marco.
yes.
Now back to
Trustee Drakeford.
Rayford, are you there?
Still in the room
Parker is present.
there? Muted, okay.
She's been muted.
No, that's not you.
All right.
I went to the restroom.
So now we need a motion to approve the adjunct hires.
So moved. Second.
Roll,
Trustee Opter.
Yes.
Trustee Drakeford. Trustee Glovin.
Yes.
Trustee Diogene.
Yes.
Trustee Moody.
Yes.
Trustee Poe.
Yes.
Trustee Ramirez.
Well, there,
Trustee Smith. Vice Chair Tanis.
Yes.
Chairman Marco.
yes.
Trustee Drakeford. No, gone. Okay.
Parker absent.
Yep. Trustee Ramirez.
He's abstaining.
Okay. Are there any remarks from the public? there any remarks from the trustees?
Okay. Three things.
Okay,
First, at your table here, you have our annual holiday party on the 5th of December over at the firehouse. You're all invited and we love to see you here. The second thing is our Phi Theta Kappa is holding a fundraising event here, stories of resilience from students. They have been rehearsing constantly for this. So that is on December 4th at 6 p.m. as well. And since it is Thanksgiving, tonight is your pie night. So before you leave, please do not leave without a pie. So
very good.
Thank you for the apple cider.
My wife already told me which one to get.
okay.
Rose, the food donations and unwrapped toys, do we bring it that night of their gift? Or are you taking it before?
We will do whatever you want. Most people will bring it to the party. If we will accommodate you in any way you want. That is fine.
If you bring it earlier, we'll bring it over.
Yeah, we'll, whatever works for you.
Okay, any other questions from the trustees? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move it.
Second.
Now, moved it. Second is Sandra.
Yep.
Paul.
Trustee Ocker,
Yes.
trustee Drakeford. Trustee Golubin,
Yes.
trustee Diogene.
Yeah.
Trustee Moody,
Yes.
trustee Poe,
Yes.
trustee Ramirez,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yeah.
vice chair Tanis, chairman Markup.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, the meeting's adjourned at 7:05.
How do we get your pies?
Night, everyone.
I forgot.